Hey guys, Blue Wizard here with another Soulforge video on Gems of War, and let's get right into it. First of all, as always, I'm going to go over to the Forge, and we'll take a look at weapons. I don't really think there's anything in here that's that fantastic. We have a few of these mana-generating weapons that are pretty common, but the Kaziel Kingdom doesn't really have that many good troops in it at all. I can't remember any that are real fantastic, so this Grudge Keeper weapon, I'd pass on that. Doom Sledge, these kind of Doom weapons aren't like really great. Some people really love them for Guild Wars because it will stun all brown enemies, it cleanses all brown allies, explodes 4 gems if the enemy has Doom, all that stuff. But the brown enemies and brown allies, so for like Brown Day and your Guild Wars, this weapon, I know a lot of people like it. Does deal heavy splash damage and does explode a couple of, explodes 4 gems. It'll explode 3 more if there's a Doom. But, you know, these weapons, they're okay in my opinion, but they're not like the best. That's my opinion. I like the doomed weapons that convert a color of gem to a doom skull. So I'm going to leave this totally up to you guys. I would pass on this if you don't have any of the other weapons first. But if you already have all the other ones and, you know, for whatever reason you want this one for, you know, then go for it. Now up here we do have a couple other weapons. There's War and Peace, which this one, it's still a decent weapon. It does damage to all enemies and gives 2 attack to all allies. But the 2 attack really isn't that significant, and you cannot boost that through magic or any other means. It's stuck at 2, which is kind of unfortunate. The 27 damage to all enemies, that is determined by your current magic power. So that will vary where you're at with that level of power. But doing damage to all enemies is a pretty standard thing, and you can do that with troops. There's other weapons that you can do that with, and I don't really think War and Peace is really that worth crafting unless you're just trying to collect all these types of weapons. The Stone Aegis is, I don't know, it's an interesting weapon, but I'm not really going to recommend it. All allies gain armor. So if your allies benefit from extra armor, this is pretty decent. Also, all allies gain 8 attack and 2 mana for every enemy barrier. Now, but there are other troops and other ways to gain armor for your other allies, so I'm not going to recommend going for that weapon either. So it's kind of like your choice if you think you want to craft any of these weapons, because I'm not really going to recommend any of these in here. I don't think they're really worth grabbing. And as for troops, you know, there really wasn't too much in the summoning stones that I saw. There's like Moon Rabbit, I think, that was in here. Yeah, it's in this one here for Green Day. And this thing is a really good troop, but also really annoying. It converts all blue gems to yellow, gives 24 life to all other allies, and then it blesses the first ally. So giving life to all other allies is a significant support function of a troop. Really makes it's better than giving armor to all allies, because there's a lot of troops and weapons that'll do true damage, which bypasses the armor completely. So giving life to all allies is pretty significant, and it's a low mana cost. So if you cast this thing over and over and over, you know, casting it 4 times will give all of your allies an extra 100 life, which is pretty significant. Makes your whole team stay in the battle longer. It does start with full mana, which is another plus to it. I really hate this thing when I'm fighting against it, but that's a good sign for using it. So that's in the green summoning stones this week. So if you don't have that Moon Rabbit, you might want to gamble a little bit with your green summoning stones. Now, looking at legendary troops this week, we do have one that's pretty amazing, which is Gorgatha here. This thing is 15 mana cost, explodes 27 gems, cleanses itself every time you cast it, which is nice because a lot of times it's entangled or webbed or has some kind of negative status effect on it, and cleansing itself is pretty awesome. It does reduce damage from skulls by 75%, which is also very significant. It will also I have a 25% chance to summon an Ancient Horror on death, which occasionally I have had that happen. It gives you a little extra kind of barrier between whatever troops you have below this Gorgotha troop. So, great mana generator, great defensive troop with the 75% reduction from damage from skulls, and then it will cleanse itself. So, this is actually probably one of the legendaries that I would craft personally if I was early on in the game and I don't have it yet. Like, if I was like level somewhere between level 300 and like 600 maybe, and I don't have Gorgotha yet, I would probably consider crafting it. Um, but 800 diamonds, there's a few legendaries that I would consider are worth that, and this one I think is worth that. Now, we also have Glitter Claw, which I don't think is worth the 800 diamonds. I would pass on that. Queen Titania, although very powerful. Spell damage. I wouldn't say that it's worth crafting either. And then finally, we have Ursuvius, which is a pretty good legendary troop. It deals damage to all enemies, boosted by burning and enraged allies and enemies. Has a 50% chance to burn a random enemy at the start of your turn, and then it enrages itself when it takes damage, reduces damage from skulls by 50%. So it has a good boost there with the burning and enraged allies and enemies and all that kind of stuff. So not a bad legendary troop, but I don't think it's worth the 800 diamonds. You can get it in keys eventually. Much higher percentage rate to get legendaries than it is mythics on opening keys, and that's why I really don't think it's worth the 800 unless it's like a really good legendary troop. And there's a few that are worth it. Now, you've already seen the mythics here as I'm scrolling through, so let's take a look at those. We have Wolfgarrick, we have Fallen Valdis, we have Phoenicia, and we also have Aquaticus. So right away, I'm going to say Aquaticus is number one just because it really is a really powerful mythic troop. It's 24 mana cost. It deals 39 light splash damage to 3 random enemies. I like that it does it to 3 enemies you're going to have. And again, any type of splash damage, whether it's light, whether it's heavy, whether it's just regular splash damage, it's going to do damage to the troop above and below the troop that it hits. So that's really good for taking barrier off of troops and kind of spreads that damage out, gets rid of the barrier on those different troops. And then if there's one troop that's left, it will hit it 3 times because it says hit 3 random enemies here. But then on top of all that, it explodes half the blue gems on the board. So if there's 10 blue gems, then you have a 5 gem explosion. And one of the things that really, really makes Aquaticus really good is if you have an ice storm going while you're using it. So combining this troop with Skady or a Madness Storm with the Ryza is really good with this troop. So because if you have more blue gems on the board, you're going to have a better explosion, and then more blue gems will fall down because of the storm, and it'll fill this troop up more. So that's kind of the thought there, the strategy with that. Now, in its traits, the Submerge all allies when matching 4 or more gems, and this also works really well with the Storm because you're going to be getting a lot of those 4 and 5 gem matches with a Storm and the board exploding and all that good stuff. So you will have Submerge, all allies get that, and Submerge is a really good positive status effect that you can have on your troops to dodge any kind of spell damage type that is going to be focused on your entire team. So whenever it says will do a certain amount of damage to all enemy troops, it's going to dodge that type of damage if you're submerged. So Aquaticus is my number 1 this week for Mythics. Phoenicia is number 2, and Phoenicia is also a really powerful troop, but it has certain conditions which makes it fall to number 2 this week for me, below Aquaticus. Now this thing does do the 25 damage to all enemies here. Don't let that fool you, because Phoenicia can get close to 80 to 90 damage to all enemies. Now, this is the damage type that I was talking about, so if the enemy is all submerged, this damage from Phoenicia would be dodged, which is unfortunate, but that's how that submerge works. Now, for this troop, though, this damage to all enemies is boosted by red gems and burning enemies. And if there is a firestorm, deal double damage. So this is really the key here, is that you need a firestorm going every single turn, really, to maximize your damage with this troop. And I like to use it with the Sun Spear class, because when you have that class fully traded, you're going to have that firestorm going every single turn. And it really does. The double damage is amazing. So right now I have it at 25 damage, and it's boosted by red gems. The boost ratio is 1-for-1. So if we have 15 red gems on the board, it'll add that to this damage. So then we will be getting 40 damage to all enemies. And then it's going to be boosted by burning enemies, which you can have a maximum of 4 burning enemies. So it's a little bit more there. But then it's going to do double that damage. So if we got it up to 40, it'll deal double that, which is 80 damage to all enemies if you have that firestorm going. It is amazing. And remember, if you're using this troop like in delves or any kind of situation like that where the magic is boosted, it will be doing even more damage than that. So, but Phoenicia does have those conditions of the firestorm being active when you cast it. So that's why that is second to Aquaticus for me. So Aquaticus is number 1 this week. Phoenicia is number 2 this week. And then we have, yeah, both of these troops are awful, but I'm going to actually say Wolf-Garrick is 3, and Faldus is in the last place. It's just a weird mythic troop. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the legendary and mythic troops for this week and the weapons here in the Forge. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go over and check out the new troop in the shop. Yeah, that's the event button there. Shop over here, and Living Quartz is the name of this thing, and the art on this is really, really strange to me. At first, I didn't see the eyes, and I was like, what? Is this just like a rock creature with no head? I didn't realize this is, I guess, the arm of the creature. I thought that was like, I don't know, I thought it was something else, like some weird burrito that's growing rocks, quartz, something out of it. Like, I don't know, some burrito creature that is a little too crispy. But Quartz Strike is its ability. It will create 2 skulls boosted by brown allies and enemies. So I guess this could be a good troop for Guild Wars on a brown day, because how else do you know that the enemy is going to be using brown troops there? But it creates 2 skulls. The boost ratio is 2, so 2 skulls. So trying to think here, how many skulls would it create with 4 brown allies? So it'd be, I guess, 10 skulls are going to get created. Interesting. And then this thing says create a brown mana potion when I take skull damage. That's interesting. So they introduced these mana potions in the game. You guys probably already know about all that, but whenever these mana potions connect with gems of its color, there's a bunch of more gems of that color that get put on the board, so it's possible to get some extra mana from that and get some extra 4 or 5 matches going. So that's kind of interesting. They're putting in as a trait that certain troops here will be able to create some mana potions. So that's pretty cool. Not bad. Also, you get a arcane lava trait stone for getting one of these this week. So I'm going to go ahead and purchase one of those. A lot of times I will purchase enough of them to get it up to Mythic. But I open so many gold keys eventually that I probably don't even need to be doing that, honestly. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that new troop. I don't know how much I'll use it, because it didn't seem incredibly useful, other than the ability to create 10 skulls, and really the mana potion I think was probably the most interesting thing about that troop. So then we have this event going on this week called the Vessel of Starlight. Pretty cool name, actually. Vessel of Starlight. I like that. So I've already kind of played around with this a little bit, just so that I already went through the shop and bought the metal. The metal is 160% skull damage, so we will have to be making a team around skulls. And they actually did good with this event. They gave us a lot of good options for skulls. So as you can see here, I already have a team set up: Wrath, Mountain Crusher, Iron Hawk, and the Wild Queen. But really quick here, I'm just going to show you some of our options that we have. Iron Hawk is obviously, it's going to create all these Doom Skulls and mana generate. Wild Queen is going to be amazing because it's going to steal attack and also create a bunch of skulls. You have the Beast Master here, which also transforms some skulls. We have the Keeper of Souls, which is an amazing legendary troop. It'll transform all skulls of a chosen color or all gems of a chosen color to skulls, which is really great for trying to get 4 and 5 matches more consistently with those skulls and getting extra turns. So that's really great. Yeah, Bone Dragon too, which eliminates armor and creates a bunch of skulls. We have King Bloodhammer, which transforms blue gems to Doom Skulls. And then we have Shegra, creates 6 red gems and then turn all the red gems to skulls. That is also pretty amazing. We also have Wrath, which is one of my favorites to use for skulls. Transforms blue gems to brown, yellow to skulls. It also explodes 2 random gems when you deal skull damage. We have Sir Quentin Hadley, which is also a transform gem color to skulls. This one is green gems to skulls. But that's also a good skull troop. So there's probably a few others in here that I didn't take the time to really scroll down through. But there is a lot of troops here available to us, and there are quite a few weapons as well. So you don't have to go with Mountain Crusher. I can't talk this morning. It's horrible. But you don't have to go with Mountain Crusher like I did. I did that for mana generation. I mean, Iron Hawk is also doing mana generation, but Mountain Crusher is just, I love using it. And it might seem weird that I have it below Wrath, but I got Wrath up here simply because I want it to explode gems and reflect skull damage. And it's not really a big deal because I have Potions of Enchant and Explosion. So the Mountain Crusher gets full with the enchantment. And then Wrath also transforms blue gems to brown. So I'm going to have a lot of brown overflow, and that will go and fill up Mountain Crusher anyway. So, but you don't have to do that. You guys could use like Doomed Club, which is going to do spell damage, and then convert green gems to Doom Skulls. And something like the Doomed Club and the Wild Queen might be really good together and effective. So there's a lot of different troops and weapons that we can use this week. I like that variety, and even like a weapon like this, like the Writhing Staff, it deals some damage, but then it creates 8 skulls and it entangles the first enemy. That's really good for an event like this because we're creating 8 skulls with that, and then it entangles the first enemy, which kind of shuts down their skull damage. So there's a lot of potential here. But just really quickly, I'll show you what's going on with my team that I'm using right now. And I might change it later. But so far, I do like using these right here. Now, with Wrath, I want to look for yellow matching up with anything. But if we had Sir Quentin Hadley right now, we could really do some massive damage because we have a lot of green here. And that transforms green gems to skulls. But we'll just explode, and as you can see, all my troops are now full. That's pretty awesome. We got a couple of matches there, but see, now I can use my Wild Queen, which is going to add more attack damage to Wrath up there. And since it's going to transform blue gems to brown, we have an extra turn right here, even though we don't have a lot of skulls matching. We only have one right here. But that's fine because we'll get that extra mana, and then it just killed the whole enemy too, because the thing I like about Wrath there is that it's going to explode a couple of gems every single time that it connects a skull with an enemy, and that's going to shift the gems around on the board a little bit, maybe give you a couple extra skull connects. And generate a little bit of mana for some of your other troops. So that's pretty cool. Let's see. We don't really have any yellow matching up with that yet. We do have that extra turn there. I don't have any blue really matching up with that. So we'll go with that. And let's see. I guess we'll just connect one skull there. I guess this team's probably a little slower than a couple of the other ones that you could set up. But so far it's been pretty effective for me. I haven't lost Wrath yet. And of course, having the Wild Queen in there is amazing because, as you just saw there, when I use the Wild Queen, I mean, it reduces the attack damage of the troop that you want and adds it to that top troop. Also, just creates all those skulls, which that's really what we want to be focused on is all the skull damage. Now, right here is a beautiful lineup. We have yellow extra turn with skulls, so we're going to transform that yellow to skulls and get that extra turn and set us up here with another extra turn. And we got an extra turn down here, and we can do that real quick and see what lines up here. It looks like just a bunch of random stuff here, but we connected that skull, it exploded a little bit, and we got a purple match there for an extra turn. That was nice. Extra turn here. And we got a mana potion there that gave us a lot of that extra brown that filled up a bunch of stuff. So now we can do a couple of things here. Oh, there is another extra turn and another extra turn. Wow, we're just getting a lot of those going on here. But Wild Queen, I haven't even used this yet. But if you look at this, it creates all those Doom Skulls and just explodes the board like crazy to give us more options. So right here, to end this guy's existence, this enemy, I could use the Wild Queen, or we could go with this because we have a skull match pretty much here. I think that would be enough to end it. But I'm just going to use Wild Queen, and that also just deleted its existence. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts on this event. I like the options of what they gave us here with all the troops and weapons that we can use. That's my team for right now. Later on this week, towards the end, in 3.5 days or so, we're going to have a raid boss event going on, and that's pretty much it for this week. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's all I got for you guys in this Soulforge video. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next one. Later.